It's a bit ironic that I'm shooting a spring fragrances video for you today, and we're going through some of the coldest days of winter here in California. In fact, this has been one of the coldest winters I've experienced here in California, and I've lived here since 1980. Anyway, I'm looking forward to spring, and I've got 20 spring fragrances for you today. If you're curious to find out what they are, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, we're talking about spring fragrances today. Are you ready for spring? I'm ready for spring. I do enjoy spring. Not my favorite season. I enjoy autumn more, but spring is my second favorite season. Really like the transitional seasons. In this video, I don't have a lot of freshies, and even though there's no rules, wear what you want when you want, I decided to go with a little more kind of spring-like, but leaning more into the winter fragrances kind of a theme today, because we are going through a kind of a very cold winter, and I felt like these are going to be appropriate. There's some freshies thrown in, but these have a little bit substance, and I feel like these are perfect in the spring anyway. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go with a fragrance I haven't spoken about since late last year. I find it to be really great. It's a very unique vanilla fragrance. It's Nocturna from the House of Royal Crown, and what I like about this one, it's got that bit of floral touch next to sandalwood, along with a bit of a marine ambergris thing, and then of course some floral touches and some fruits, and of course overdose of vanilla. It doesn't wear like other vanilla fragrances where it's sickly sweet and syrupy sweet, because it has these notes that kind of like dilute its thickness. But again, it's a vanilla, and it's got the ambergris, the fruitiness, the sandalwood, and it has some substance, and I feel like it's perfect for spring and autumn. So Nocturna from the House of Royal Crown. Has anyone tried that one? This next fragrance from the House of NUIT NOMADE. This is Jardins de MISFAH, currently in my Scent Club kit. If you guys haven't checked it out, it is selling right now. We are running out. I do have a link in the info box. This fragrance is in that kit. It features notes of dates, rose absolute, rose essence, saffron, almonds, which basically creates a creamy dates, honey, and sweet water touch with the fragrance. So I wouldn't say it's a gourmand, but it does have some light gourmand touches. It's very rosy, and I feel like it comes alive in the heat. And of course, you know, during the spring months, we do get some heat. Anyway, but for me, it smells fantastic. It kind of reminds me a little bit of a date almond delicacy with some, you know, a sprinkling of rose water on top of it. So this is a Jardins de MISFAH from the House of NUIT NOMADE. Again, that's in my Scent Club kit number 4. Moving on to the House of Commodity is Moss Plus, this one right here. And with Moss Plus, I get a very intense take on oak moss with Petitgrain, two notes that are really beautifully working together. So the fragrance has a citrusy touch, but more of the bitter citruses, because you're utilizing the green bitter leaves of the bitter orange tree. You've got some resin, some bergamot, patchouli, and amber as well. Really great fragrance. It's a little more deep because we're in that kind of a transitional season where we have, you know, still some cold and also some warmth at the same time. Moving on to the House of GIVENCHY. This is MMW. It's a perfect fragrance for spring and or winter. But again, no rules, wear it any time of the year. It smells fantastic, by the way. It's got a creamy woody presence here with Ambroxan, Vetiver, there's Palo Santo, ISOE Super, Cedar and Cardamom. It's spicy, it's definitely very woody and musky as well. It smells fantastic, guys. Check it out. MMW from the House of GIVENCHY is a great scent. One of my favorite fragrances from that collection. If you haven't caught that, La Collection Particulière from GIVENCHY, definitely check out some of their fragrances, including MMW. This one might be kind of on that edge of being a lot more fresher, but it's got some deep, rich intensity. So it's a fresh fragrance, a bit tropical and a bit fruity. This is AZORA from the House of ATTAR collection, and it's a kind of a fruity, tropical, floral, musky fragrance with citruses. So the notes are lychee fruit, there's peaches here, there's floral notes, lots of white musk with bergamot, jasmine, orange, and woods. It's super delicious, guys. It's more of a summer fragrance. If you want something really intense for the summer, definitely wear that, but I felt like it would be a great fragrance to wear in the springtime. It's kind of in between, you know, the warmth and the cool days of winter, and I feel like it smells fantastic. It's very, very refreshing, really luscious, kind of a tropical, fruity, floral, citrus fragrance. AZORA from the house of ATTAR collection. Moving on to the house of Thomas de Monaco. This is COEUR, this one right here. So if you guys know, Raw Gold is featured in my Scent Club kit number 2, but I'm not featuring this one, but I felt like this is a great spring fragrance. It's got kind of an ambery base, but it's surrounded with lots of magnolia and some spices, and it makes for a great spring fragrance. I think it's really delicious, and I feel like it's definitely kind of an offspring of Raw Gold with a floral touch. If you thought that Raw Gold was a bit too much for you, a little animalic, you might want to try this one. It's magnolia, pink pepper, Ambroxan, rose, Tonka. Really beautiful fragrance. Check it out. It's COEUR from the house of Thomas de Monaco. Then we've got a fragrance from the house of CELINE. It's a Bois Dormant, this one right here. This is kind of become a top 5 fragrance from this house. Kind of an underrated designer house that's, I think, definitely worth checking out. If you don't know any of Celine's fragrances, this is one that you should check out. One of the first ones you should. If you like woody fragrances, a lot of people say this is kind of like black tie going into the woody direction. I guess way in the background I would kind of connect it with black tie. I don't get the black tie connection too much though. But for me, it's lots of bergamot with juniper. There's orris butter, cedar, and vetiver. Very woody, very powdery, and of course some sparkling, crystal clear touches of juniper and of course citruses of bergamot. The orris butter also with this brand is key. They definitely have a lot of orris in a lot of their fragrances, so they're kind of on the powdery end with this collection of fragrances. So Bois Dormant from the house of CELINE. Next, going to the house of this is Aesop, and this is Idacis. This is their latest fragrance. If you guys don't know Idacis, Idacis is, to me, kind of like take a little bit of that fragrance from Aesop, take a little bit of that fragrance from Aesop, take a little bit of that, put it in and make another fragrance with it, kind of a thing. Because for me, it reminds me of a few of their other fragrances, which I kind of like because I like the other fragrances, and this seems like it's a little bit of a best of all the fragrances, you know what I mean? So it's sandalwood, cedar, olibanum, vetiver, black pepper, cumin, petitgrain. It's fresh, so it's got the freshness and the citrusy touches that's in one of the citrus fragrances, which I'm drawing a blank, but it feels like, I feel like there's also some touches from rosu, a little bit from God, I'm drawing a blank with the names of their fragrances, but I think it's called Wheel. I think there's like a hinoki kind of a touch, woody touch, and then of course some spices from Marrakesh Intense. But either way, Idacis is really, really great. Check it out. I like wearing that one a lot, and I think it's perfect for spring. So next up, the 9th fragrance I'm talking about is Oolong Tea from the house of One Day, a house from Hong Kong. And this is a award-winning fragrance and definitely one that you guys should check out. What I like about this one is it's definitely a smoky oolong tea, and for me, with a little warmth really comes alive. And there's jasmine in here. I think my body amplifies the jasmine and kind of creates like a smoky tea, and also jasmine balm, which is kind of really, really cool. The jasmine in here is more like jasmine tea rather than an indolic animalic jasmine. So those of you that have a tough time with jasmine, I don't think you have anything to worry about, but then you have to enjoy jasmine in general. But a wonderful fragrance. It's got honey touches to remind you of tea, some citruses, aromatics, and of course spices and woods. This is a great scent, guys. Oolong Tea from the house of One Day is fantastic. Next, it's Wake Up World from the house of Parlement de Parfum. This is definitely a fragrance I remember wearing in the springtime, but not this fragrance, the fragrance it reminds me of. This fragrance from the house of Paloma Picasso by the name of Minotaur. I started wearing that on a spring day in 1993. I remember it because I remember the times I wore it and the trips we took with my family. And this, to me, makes for a great spring fragrance because it's kind of a fresh amber. So ambers are heavy, right? For winter, they're kind of made for colder days, you know, more intense fragrance experience. But for me, there's freshness in here to kind of create for a balance. You have fresh and warm touches together with vanilla, benzoin, Ambroxan, and green green apple, and I think it's a great fragrance. Really, really love the fragrance, and really reminds me of Minotaur. Loved that fragrance when I was young, and now we have it here with Wake Up World. Minotaur currently does not smell as good as it used to, but that smells super fantastic. Really love it. Moving on to the house of Parfums d'Ucita. We're going for a floral green touch here, and definitely a great fragrance if you like the idea of a green floral. I think spring, flowers blooming. This totally reminds me of it. It's Fleur de Lalita from Parfums d'Ucita, and it has white lily, jasmine, there's exotic flowers, there's galbanum, magnolia, ylang ylang, ambrette, and ambergris. What a beautiful fragrance. Really beautiful sillage. When someone wears this, or when I wear it, I smell myself and think, God, I smell great, because I love the flowers in here, and it's totally spring. And of course, when it's spring, flowers have not completely opened up, so there's definitely greenness there, and the galbanum in here kind of creates for that green floral wake me up kind of a situation with the smell. Really great. Plus it has, you know, muskiness in here with the ambergris and the ambrette. Really gorgeous fragrance. It's Fleur de Lalita, a great spring fragrance. In fact, I think it totally reminds me of spring. So moving on to the house of Soradora, it's Mandorl. This one right here, and I put this one here because I feel like it can totally work in the spring. This is a fragrance I featured in my Scent Club for kit number 3, which launched late last year. Mandorl to me is a cherry fragrance, but a gourmand cherry with almonds, and they don't really mention the cherry as a note, at least not on their website, but there's definitely a cherry in here, and I think we're getting that from the tonka beans in here. Almonds also, there's a heliotrope, there's a cocoa, suede, rum, cashmere, some booziness, muskiness for sure, light cocoa chocolate thing, but a beautiful cherry tonka almond gourmand. This is Mandorl from the house of Soradora. Any fans of that one? Did you guys catch that fragrance in my Scent Club kit number 3? Let me know, put a comment down so I can find out. So if you haven't noticed, I haven't been featuring a lot of designers. There's a few, probably like 3 or 4 designers in this video, and I'm kind of going with some of the more eclectic or less known designer fragrances. And here we have Paula Zabiza from the house. This is Paula Zabiza Eclectic from Loewe, a Spanish designer under LVMH, which I have discovered within the last several years that I'm a fan of. I like them, and I call them something a little more accessible comme des garçons, if that makes sense. But what I like about Paula Zabiza Eclectic is it's the beachiness that I like, and definitely is more of a beachy fragrance than the original Paula Zabiza. For me, the differences between the two, Paula Zabiza is more like a Northern California beach where you really can't go swimming, and there's greens and, you know, shrubs around. And with a Paula Zabiza Eclectic, it's more of like the Paula Zabiza Ibiza beach for me, I think, where it smells tropical and things like that. But it features ylang ylang, jasmine, sandalwood, orange blossom, a lot of other things, mandarin orange. It's citrusy, lightly smoky, there's coconut, and there's definitely flowers. Beautiful fragrance, Paula Zabiza Eclectic. Check that out if you don't know it. Next, going to the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois. It's Ganymede. What a great fragrance. This to me is perfect for spring, and also perfect for autumn as well. It smells more like autumn to me, but the suede and the citruses and the musk in here to me is more like a spring fragrance, but it's super sexy and a great trail with this one. It's got ozonic touches, for sure leather touches, citruses, and there's some fruitiness in Akigala wood, which is a trademark note that Quentin Biche uses. He uses this note quite a bit. If you don't know Quentin Biche, the perfumer, he created this. I think it's one of the best fragrances out there currently, and it's got Akigala wood, and there's Akigala wood in a lot of his other fragrances. But either way, Ganymede is great. Check it out if you don't know it. Next fragrance is a new one that I needed to feature in this video because it's woody, and I feel like it's great transitional fragrance going from winter to spring. This is from the house of Goldfield and Banks. This is Island Lush. Have you guys tried it yet? You know, I got a preview of this last year a couple of times, and instantly was a great fragrance. It's a vetiver fragrance in the end, but with loads of ginger. So if you like the idea of ginger, this would have been perfect in my ginger list when I did a couple of months ago. But it's this really interesting, earthy, grassy vetiver with lots of ginger. There's definitely a leather touch here, plus a creamy undertone of creamy sandalwood, but along the way there's some sweetness from benzoin, there's powdery touches, there's nutmeg, there's geranium, there's spices of pink pepper, more woods of cedar, and light oud as well. It's a great scent. I think this is a job well done. If you like the idea of woody fragrance, lightly leathery, and a zingy ginger touch, definitely check out Island Lush. Wonderful fragrance. You know, I've got to feature this one. I keep talking about it, but but I think it's a great fragrance. It's Hachivat. It's a strong fragrance, and I think it'll do great in the spring. To me, it's got lots of woods here, a bit screechy with pineapple and grapefruit. So there's bitterness there, there's greenness there, there's oak moss, there's patchouli earthiness, and the citrusy touches, and of course the pineapple is the fruitiness. I think it's a great fragrance all year round. Again, it's a very strong fragrance, and it smells great in the spring. So Hachivat from Nishane is definitely a perfect spring fragrance. All right, moving on to the house of YSL. It's not Baby Cat. I've decided to leave that one off. I'm going with this one because it's definitely a lot more springy, summery. This is La Valliere, this one right here. A great fragrance to me, and it definitely reminds me of spring, kind of a fruity, floral spring fragrance with fig, rose, bergamot. There's blackcurrant, geranium, jasmine. There's vetiver, cashmere, and musk, and it smells super fresh. It has green touches, lots of fruitiness for sure. The blackcurrant and the figs provide a great fruity touch with this fragrance, and you know, the rose adds a nice floral touch. Kind of goes to a little bit of a cheaper direction, not too much, but really beautiful. If you like the idea of the fig and the rose together, I think it's a job well done by YSL in their Le Vestiaire collection. I should say L'Oreal did a good job with it too, because it's under L'Oreal. You know, the fragrances under this collection are definitely smelling really great for me. I enjoy them. And La Valliere, just like Baby Cat, is definitely a great fragrance. So that's YSL's La Valliere. Wonderful fragrance. Check that out. I think it'll do great in the summertime as well. Next up, going to the house of Angelo's Creations Olfactives, it's Eau de Verre 2. This is a great minerally, spicy, floral, woody, musky fragrance that I really, really enjoy. This is another fragrance I featured in my scent club in kit number 1 when I was first launching it. And you know, it's a beautiful fragrance that is perfect all year round. I think also in the summertime it comes alive. For me, when I'm wearing it in the summertime, I feel like there's a bit of a musky Ambroxan touch under there. Could be that I'm just, you know, my nose is playing tricks on me, but it leaves a great trail. Like, it has this great longevity, but really unique fragrance, definitely green and minerally, spicy, zingy, bitter green as well with the galbanum. There's hinoki, there's lily of the valley, lots of green floral touches, oak moss and stuff. Really wonderful fragrance. So this is Eau de Verre 2 from the house of Angelo's Creations Olfactives. Have you guys tried that? Next, going to the house of Amouage, it's their new fragrance Guidance. Man, this is a really wonderful job well done, once again, by Quinton B. She did create a really great fragrance here that I can't get enough of. For me, this is, you know, it smells a bit familiar and also original at the same time. When I first smelled this at Neiman Marcus, although I smelled it like back in October at TFWA, but it was a quick smell. But when I smelled it at Neiman Marcus, instantly I thought there's something in here that reminds me of Intense Cafe, because I get a milky lactonic touch in here instantly, which I really, really love. Because I like the idea of rose and milky notes together, and that's providing it here for sure. But there's a fruitiness here, there's a bit of smokiness here, some woods, there's ambergris, there's jasmine, there's vanilla, and the pear, of course, with the fruitiness. Really, really a job well done. This has become my favorite in this series of 4 new fragrances from Amouage, and I think it's going to do really well. Guidance is a really great fragrance from Amouage, and I think it's also really perfect for spring. And last but not least, I'm ending the video with one fragrance. I do have a bonus, stay tuned for that. But this, the 20th fragrance is Un Air d'Apogée from the house of Maison Violet. So I featured this in Scent Club kit number 2. I'm featuring stuff that I really enjoy, of course, and that's how I'm picking fragrances to go into my Scent Club kits, the ones that I really enjoy. This is such a great fragrance created by Nathalie Lorson. It's a tobacco fragrance, but there's definitely ethereal quality about it. There's an airiness about it, so it doesn't weigh you down. It's not like a thick, dense red tobacco Mancera kind of a tobacco fragrance. It's just got an elegancy about it that I really, really like. It's tobacco, haze, suede, cashmeran, mimosa, iris, leather, ambroxan, sage, a lot of great stuff, labdanum, wonderful fragrance. There's definitely a honey touch, even though there's no honey mentioned in here, and the mimosa flower in here is creating that. Really beautiful fragrance. Definitely deserves to be here. You can wear this all year round, but I think in the autumn, well, I should say spring. In the spring and autumn are the best times of the year for Un Air d'Apogée. That is the last fragrance from the house of Maison Violet. It's Un Air d'Apogée, and that's the list for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts on this collection of fragrances. Have you tried any of these? Are you a fan of these fragrances, or are you curious to try these fragrances? Let me know. And what are you going to be wearing this particular autumn? No, I keep thinking autumn. It's not autumn yet. What are you going to be wearing this particular spring season? Let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. But either way, guys, I do want to say, if you haven't taken advantage of getting a Scent Club kit number 4 yet, it is out there running right now. It is almost sold out, so if you haven't bought it yet, please go ahead and make sure to get it. Once it sells out, we're not going to be releasing anymore, as it turns out, as of now. But other than that, guys, thanks so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Alright guys, I do have one bonus option for you, but it's a layering duo. That was an accidental discovery. We're going to the house of Atelier d'Azur. It's Pink Me Up. This is Pink Me Up with Noir by Night. So the fragrances are meant to be worn individually, but I accidentally got them on top of one another, and I feel like they're a really great match made in heaven kind of a thing. You know, they smell great together, even though they smell great on their own. For me, Pink Me Up is this very fizzy, sparkling, effervescent, you know, pink champagne kind of a combo with fruits and rose and patchouli and bergamot. It's a chypre, musky chypre kind of style. And then Noir by Night is a salty caviar, marine, woody, earthy kind of a thing, and the two together play so well together, and they smell fantastic. So for me, it kind of knocks down the fruitiness out of the fruits in the Pink Me Up, so makes it a little more balanced, you know, like this one kind of leans feminine, this one kind of leans masculine. The two together create for like a unisex intoxicating combo. But either way, check them out. It's Pink Me Up and Noir by Night, and that is the bonus option. And I think those two are really perfect together for spring wear.